excited that you guys are tuning in tonight to join us and be a part of the show and be a part of what's going on. I'm Randy. I'm one of your co-hosts, and we're just a couple guys here trying to help you use technology to make your lives better. We are streaming live right now from San Marcos, Texas, using the amazing Coolabite technology, and I want you to say hello to my good friend Dominic. What's going on, Dominic?
What's happening? Team Technic, it's good to see you tonight, and I'm glad you guys are here, and Randy and I are glad to be here.
Yeah, we are super pumped about the show tonight. We've got a great show planned, a lot of sexy stuff we're going to talk about, and a lot of stuff that will help you make your life better. You know, that's really what our mission here about. We just want to help you make your life better with the technology that we talk about. So we try to make it down to earth, we try to make it understandable, and we try to make it fun, and hopefully it's funny also. So what's going on out there in the tech world tonight, baby?
There's all kinds of things going on, and I hope you guys are ready for the best show of February 2011. This is going to be the marking. This is going to be the benchmark. Can you believe it's already February?
I mean, it's crazy.
It seems totally like just last week we were talking about what you should buy for Christmas.
That's right.
And now we're already in February 2011. Well, let's get to our tech sec here. We got a lot of cool things to talk about. The tech news never stops. So we got some big things going on. First thing we want to talk about is last week we mentioned online backup. And one of the companies we talked about was Mozy. And Mozy was one of the companies that had an unlimited backup plan, right?
Right.
So no matter how much you wanted to back up, it would do a slow backup, and you could back up your entire movie library, photos, documents, the whole deal. And just recently, this week, they changed that.
Wow.
And they took away the unlimited plan. And tell us what that really means.
Wow.
Positives and negatives. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, before I do, let me remind you to call or text in your questions or comments to 512-843-2835. Bam! Nailed it. Also, you can email us at info@techmix.tv, or you can send us a tweet to our tweeter at TechMixTV. We would love to hear from you guys. So what's the big deal about the Mozy thing? Well, you know, you've had a few unlimited plans out there, and now kind of the two big name ones are Mozy and Carbonite. And so it doesn't bode well for me. I was kind of concerned when I heard this, because it just seems like, well, that's the next thing that Carbonite's going to do, is they're going to take away their unlimited plan. So I was a little concerned at first, but then I started thinking through it. Mozy has always just backed up the entire computer. Executables, DLLs, picture files, you know, everything. They just back up the whole thing. Carbonite only backs up important files, and then you go and tell it other files that you want it to back up. And so Carbonite's been trying to save money and do it on the cheap, you know, from the beginning, I would say.
Sure.
I know when I switched to Carbonite, my backup size dropped probably 10 or 15 gigabytes down to about 50 gigabytes. So I don't know that this bodes very well, because if we see the unlimited go away, you know, I don't know. So what was the rationale behind that anyway? Why did they say that?
Well, I want to say that it's to save space. Maybe they, I'm not trying to be a big fan of big companies or anything like that, but a lot of times, like when AT&T dropped their unlimited data plan, right?
Right.
And they dropped it down to 2 gigabytes. Well, the research behind that was 90% of users who had unlimited data plans never went over 2 gigs. So really, it kind of cuts down their network. It actually speeds up the networks because less people are going to be using data. They're going to be much more careful with their data usage. So I want to say it was that kind of thing. They let's say Mozy offered unlimited, but 80% or more weren't using an unlimited amount. They were probably using less than 125 gig. So for the power users out there, maybe someone like yourself who's they want to back up everything, it sounds like you're going to have to either pay more or just figure out different options. But it was probably really for Mozy to really conserve space and streamline and just really simplify their offering, I would say.
Well, I was a little disappointed with what they said on their blog. They talked about how a picture on an iPhone 3G was 1/3 of a gigabyte, and a picture on an iPhone 4 is a third of a gigabyte, like 3 megabytes.
Right.
Yeah. And how the one on the iPhone 4, is like 10 megabytes. And they talked about how, you couldn't do video on an iPhone 3G officially, and then you can on an iPhone 4, and that's 200 megabytes, blah, blah, blah. That's all true. But you can also go down to Best Buy and buy a terabyte hard drive for $50. So it's not like it's happening on this island. I mean, it's all happening in the middle of this explosion of technology.
Right.
So, but anyway, it's their company. If that's what they want to do, I say more power to them. But it does kind of look kind of ominous, because now Carbonite's the one left that has the unlimited, backup plan, and I don't know what's going to happen with that. So what else is going on out there tonight?
Well, something that is near and dear to your heart, and
you always point at me when you say that.
Right. Yes, I do. Is Google Android, the Android mobile platform, has now become the #1 selling mobile platform in the world. And something of note is they didn't overtake Apple to become #1. They overtook Symbian.
Right.
And why don't you talk a little bit about what Symbian is?
Yeah. Well, I'm not too familiar with that. I know that's what runs on Nokia.
Right.
And Nokia is huge. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And in the non-smartphone market,
right,
they completely rule,
dominate, totally.
That whole market. And Symbian was they're kind of heading out into the whole smartphone land. With Symbian. Symbian has a lot of features like email and web and stuff like that. So yeah, they Android overtook Symbian to become the #1 selling platform. Now that's in the last quarter. Wasn't that the last quarter of last year?
Yeah,
that they were the #1. Yeah, so this is not that they've become the largest platform installed out there among users, but right now, the snapshot last several months, they are the #1 selling smartphone platform out there. And I love Android. I'm normally an Android user. I've been on a iPhone for the last few weeks to see how the other side lives. But I love Android, and I just think it's it's only right that they would be growing like that, because it's such an amazing platform. So man, this next piece of news, kind of near and dear to our hearts. Once again, this is not sexy talk, okay?
Yeah.
It is for Dominic and I, but it's not going to be for you guys. But they found a flaw in Amazon's software at Amazon.com. And, everybody raised their hand who's had an account at Amazon for 50 years.
Right.
I signed up, I think, when they first opened. Well, this flaw, if you have I should have said that live. I'm going to go change my password right now. This flaw, if you have an old account with Amazon, it can be hacked. And they found a way to get in there. Somebody did, and I don't know if the good guys or the bad guys made it public, but your password can be hacked. And the only way, now Amazon has fixed it, but the only way to take advantage of the fix is you have to go change your password. So that's some pretty big, we talk about security and stuff all the time.
Right.
So what do you think about that one?
Well, I mean that's good, and I think you should go in there and change your password. And if you're like me and you have only like 5 or 6 passwords that you span throughout every single account you've ever opened, what you can do is go change your password and then go back in and change it right back. So you can have the password you had,
hey, that's good thinking,
but you still took advantage of the fix that Amazon put out there. So I think it's good, and I like that whoever put it out, whether it was the bad guys or the good guys, whoever did that, it's good that they did it, and it's good that Amazon was all over it in fixing that patch. So I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So that's I don't know, man. I like your idea of go change it back. So I'll go do that. We need to do a show about passwords sometimes. That's another thing. It's not sexy. It's not sexy to talk about passwords and blah, 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 and how do you remember them and stuff.
It depends on what your password is, though.
Wow.
Because some of my passwords are quite literally
wow.
sexy.
Well, now we know. We've narrowed it down to a few thousand passwords, and we know you only use 4 or 5. So the hacking is starting even as we speak. No. So what else is going on out there in the tech world
well,
tonight?
Something I found that was interesting, that I think is interesting, and that I hope you guys find interesting, is we've been talking about, we had an iPad on the show, right? And we kind of showed that, and then you had a Nook that you were able to root and have the Android operating system on there. And of course, we've talked about trying to get on the show a Galaxy S. Gosh, I can't even think of the name.
Tab.
The Tab. Jeez. The tablet.
Wow.
So the tablets are the up and coming technology, right? That's what everybody's trying to do. Well, RAM, which is BlackBerry, they're coming out with one, and it's called the BlackBerry Playbook. And people, if you're a BlackBerry user, you're probably excited about this. A lot of people in the technology world are excited about it. Well, I was reading an article that an analyst, and really an analyst is just a guy with an opinion that's has a degree maybe, and I have both. So here's my opinion on this. Is this guy? He's saying that the Playbook is once again BlackBerry's version of an iPad or a Galaxy S tablet, and what it does is it allows you to run apps, play games. Now, to check your email on it, though, and your calendar, you need to have it linked up or synced up or connected to your BlackBerry that you have, which is just a killer, in my opinion. And killer meaning bad, not killer as in good. A long time ago, some of you guys might remember Palm. They were a really big company in the smartphone world, and they had the Palm Trio and all this stuff. And they came out with this revolutionary device called a Padfolio. And what the Padfolio was, it was a mix. It was in between a laptop computer and your smartphone. And this came out way before the iPad was even on the radar. And this Padfolio, it basically was your Trio with a larger screen and a keyboard, but it didn't have Wi-Fi connectivity. You had to just only Bluetooth connect it to your Trio. And I have a bad feeling that's what's going on with this BlackBerry Playbook, that it's going to be this thing that it's really cool to have, but nobody really needs it. And once you have it, you're going to realize that you don't really like it because it's what you can do on your BlackBerry anyway. So we'll see how it goes. Hope it goes well. I always hope that anything somebody creates and puts out there in the market goes well, but I'm not so sure about it.
Well, I got to tell you though, at least they have a better name than Padfolio. That was just doomed to not be successful with a name like that. I mean, who wants to have a...
That's actually one of my passwords, is Padfolio 1234.
That's one of his sexy passwords, too.
I do count it as a sexy
That says
one.
a lot about you.
Yeah.
So, hey, I want to remind you, give us a call or send your text messages in to 512-843-2835. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear what you're thinking about. Love to hear your questions and comments, especially on all this news talk that's going on. This stuff is, man, it just seems like, the last couple of months it's just been crazy in the tech world with all the changes and stuff going on. Sometimes there's a downside to that. We've been watching what's going on over in Egypt, with all the protests against the government and, what's going to go on over there. And, they've completely cut off the internet from the people. And that makes it difficult during times like that. So, our thoughts and prayers go out with them. You were reading an article this week. You were telling me about an article this week you read about the visibility of Apple and, why that made such a big difference. And tell us a little bit about why that's important and the whole, wasn't it like a Motorola thing or something like that?
Yeah, so Motorola has a Super Bowl ad coming out. If you guys are going to watch the game this weekend, and you'll see it, it's kind of a jab at Apple, and it seems to be kind of the main theme in advertising is if you're in technology, you got to take a jab at Apple at some point in your commercials.
To be legit.
To be legit, it's really kind of like your stamp look like, okay, it's a real advertisement now because you took a jab at Apple.
We are Tech Mix. We are better than Apple.
Right, right. So now we're legit. So they have this ad, and they're kind of poking fun at Apple, and it really got me thinking. As all of you probably know, and if you don't know, I'm a big Apple fan, and so is Randy. We're big Apple fans of what the products they have and the things that they do. But what I really started to think about, and I want to start looking at this objectively and not subjectively. Boom, look
That's
that up.
hard to do.
Yeah, wow. So what we want to do is look at it objectively, and I started to think that it's really a good thing for these advertisements, these companies, to take these jabs at Apple, because and follow me on this, okay? It's good for Apple, and the reason it's good for Apple is because it's free press.
That's right.
Apple gets so much free press with all these rumor websites, and people just people will mock up things that they think the next Apple product will look like, and that'll spread throughout the internet like it's the next thing.
The Apple cigarette lighter.
Right, and really it's just some idea that some guy had. That's how crazy it is, the free press that Apple gets. Even the antenna gate, right? Where the iPhone 4 antenna had problems.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there wasn't a person in America who didn't know about the new iPhone 4 because of that problem.
Yeah.
Right? And Apple's like, okay, you're holding it wrong, and they're still selling millions of phones. And they're about to drop iPhone 4 with the same antenna issues on Verizon, and they're going to sell millions more. So it's good for Apple because it's free press, right? And I think it's great for competition because it really makes them beef up features. Right,
Yeah,
because
I totally
you're
agree.
either Apple is the kind of thing where you either love it or you hate it. Right, it's part of you. You either can't stand the people who talk about it, or you can't wait to get around someone who loves it. Right, that's kind of how it is with Apple. And either way, it's fueling competition. Right? So Motorola, they want to push out something and give you something that Apple isn't giving you. Verizon or Nokia or whatever, they want to push out a device that gives you something that Apple doesn't give you. And really what that's doing is just pushing the limit on the features that you can give people, the different kinds of things they can have. And I really love what that's doing for the smartphone world, for the tablet world, for the computer world, all of that. I really love what's going on.
Yeah, and it's hard keeping that stuff objective. And you talked about I've talked about that. There's a lot of emotions and stuff like that, and jabs going back and forth. And one of the things that we fight every single day for is on our show to be objective about technology and stuff. Dominic and I talk back and forth during the day about stuff, and trying to stay objective. It's hard.
Yeah,
it's like a Republican and a Democrat, trying to talk about objectively what they believe in. It's almost impossible to not slip a little jab in there, or something like that. But that's good. That's good. I like that. I like where you're going with that. And you're right. All the free press, the internet, and all that stuff out there, all it really makes, what it helps is for people like you and I, we receive the benefit of that, in that we see more features and more stuff, blah blah blah. That's pretty awesome. Well, speaking of rumors, okay, we don't normally do rumors on the news. We'd like to do the news, but there's a rumor that's going to hit tomorrow about something that's supposed to hit tomorrow, and I'm thinking, wow. Why wait till next week to talk about it when it's old news? So let's break it tonight.
I love that in the tech world, 6 days is old news.
Oh, 6 days is like dinosaur age, man. So let's break it tonight on our show. Actually, it's already been broke out there, but the rumor is that tomorrow Google is going to announce a web-based market for their phones. It's all based on the internet. You get on the internet to get an app on your iPhone. You get on the internet to get an app for your Android.
Sure.
But the difference in this is that it will be based from a browser. That you can go from a browser on your phone. And what's so cool about that? What's the big deal about that? Why are people all in a tizzy about that? Well, I'll tell you why. They're excited about that because the Android app in the past has been a copyrighted application for the market. Even though Android is open space, it's been a copyrighted application. So now it means basically all the apps will be available on every single Android device out there. I think it's going to have an effect of bringing down prices, because you've got all these little manufacturers over, like in China and stuff like that are making these tablets and stuff that they can't get the market on because Google won't let them have the market right now. but you know, they'll be able to put apps on it once they go web-based. So pretty excited about that. I think it's a pretty big deal out there. So why don't you give a little shout out to our sponsor for tonight, man? Rescue. Wow.
Yeah, we'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor. That's mytechrescue.com. If your computer is slowing down, dragging a little bit, you notice you got some viruses, you're not really sure what's going on with your computer, and you're just concerned for the safety of it and want to protect it, you can head over to mytechrescue.com and we can take care of all your tech needs. Something that Randy found this week is genius. Back in 1994, that's 2 years after Al Gore invented the internet, the largest, or one of the largest networks in America had a little conversation. It was maybe the first email ever invented, according to these guys. And you guys got to watch this video and tell us what you think. Here, peep this.
Back to 56 past, I wasn't prepared to translate that as I was doing that little tease.
Oh, that's
that little
right.
mark with the A and then the ring around it.
At?
See, that's what I said. Katie said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'd never heard it.
Around
I'd never heard it
about.
said. I'd always
That's
seen the
right.
mark, but never heard it said. And then it sounded stupid when I said it. Violence at NBC.
I heard it around or about in the lunchroom.
See, there it is. Violence at NBC. GE com. I mean,
Well, Allison should know.
what
do you
is
think
internet
about Allison?
anyway?
Internet is that massive computer
Right.
network, the one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big. How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
No, she can't say anything in 10 seconds or less.
Oh, Allison will be in the studio shortly.
What does
does it mean?
It's a giant computer network made up of started from.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what this was.
It's like
You
a
look at the
computer
dictionary.
billboard.
It's not a. It's a computer billboard, but it's
Right.
nationwide. It's several universities and everything all joined together.
Right,
And others can access it.
right.
And it's getting bigger and bigger all the time.
Just
It came
great.
in really handy during the quake. A lot of people, that's how they were communicating out to tell family and loved ones they were okay because all the phone lines were down.
I was telling Katie and
But you don't need that. You don't need a phone line to operate internet. No, apparently
I was
not.
telling Katie, I was talking to a lot of people out in LA who are afraid to go to sleep.
Really?
Yeah, they're scared to go to sleep. A lot of people, particularly those who live alone, are afraid. I mean, they're getting into bed with their gym shoes, flashlight, radio,
that's really something.
leaving the lights on, and they'll start to drift off, and then a tremor will come through, and it'll wake them up, and then they'll try to go back to sleep. And there are a lot of people now who are suffering from sleep deprivation
I'm sure.
out there. They're just hypnotic.
Man, I love that video. I think it's genius. I think my favorite part of that video might be Katie Couric's hair. We were talking about it here. That's pure 1994, and you can't hate her for it because it was in style, and she rocked it, and she meant it. And she's big.
I liked the email address, violence@nbc.ge.com.
Yeah, there's a lot of dots in there.
I guess at the time they didn't have NBC.com. Wow.
Yeah.
We should have bought it.
Somebody
back
had
then.
secured that URL.
NationalButtercup.com.
Man, this is a video that really has got to take you back some memories, and we want to hear what you guys think about this. Give us a call, 512-843-2835, or text us to that same number. And you guys got to get involved in tonight's show. We got some good things. You can talk about some things we talked about in the news. And one thing I want to mention, I know the news is over, but I want to say this real quick, is you guys... We find what we find in the news, but if you guys are out there and you see things in the news that you have questions on or you think we should talk about, man, give us a call. Send us a text or email us or Twitter us or face page us or whatever, however you can get a hold of us, and let us know what you want to talk about. And if you can find a way that you can't communicate with us, call us and tell us about it, and we'll find a way to communicate with you that way.
You can always just come up to the window at the studio and bang on the door.
Yeah, we have drive-thru.
And put up a sign and say, hey, what about blah, blah, blah? That'd be a great thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so give us a call or text those questions or comments in. We'd love to hear them. So what are we going to talk about, man?
We want to, now last week, we finally were able to talk about something sexy. right? And that's Google Chrome. Google Chrome is a web browser. And I don't want to plug the phone number again, but if you've downloaded Google Chrome since the last episode, give us a call and let's talk about it. Let's talk about what your experience was, what you had trouble with, what was confusing, what you loved about it, any of that, okay? We wanted to bring it back because there's so much stuff that Google Chrome can do for you, can do for your web experience. And we talk about that like it's like this extravagant thing. But like we said last show, man, when you're online, you don't want to spend a lot of time looking for things that or taking a long time to find things that you want, right?
Right.
You want to get in there your browser, you want to check your email, look for this, check your Twitter, do your face page, and then that's it. And then you want to kill the browser and you're done. Well, we want to talk about more things that Google Chrome can do. There's syncing that it can do that we didn't talk about.
So this is kind of Google Chrome Part 2?
Part deux, if you will. Excuse my French.
Wow. Yeah, we're going to talk about some cool stuff like the syncing is a big deal. And then also...
S-Y-N-C.
That's right. Also, yeah, not S-I-N-K. Also, printing from Google, from Google Chrome. It's called Cloud Print. We're going to talk about that.
It's genius.
A little bit. Talk about desktop notifications. A lot of cool stuff with Chrome that we couldn't hit last week because we ran out of time, and we wanted to come back and hit it again tonight. Once again, this may not be the sexiest talk for some people, like, oh, another browser. You know, guys, if you're on Internet Explorer, like an old version, like 6.0, maybe even 7.0, especially 6.0. What did you say last week? Like 40% of the internet is still on 6.0?
No, like 60% of the internet is still using Internet 6 or lower.
Dude, that's like a hacker's heaven.
Yeah.
You know, because Microsoft's not updating those anymore for holes and stuff like that. And there are holes in every software, and it can just, man, you're just asking for trouble with Internet Explorer 6.0. So for us, not only is it safer for you to use a different browser like Google Chrome, and if you got to stick with Microsoft, go to the latest one, the 8.0 minimum or 9.0. But we like Google Chrome because not only is it safer, but there's also a lot of good points, and we want to talk about those tonight, right?
Yes. Everything he just said, I would like to underline it.
There we go.
Right.
And fill in the blanks.
Right, if you will.
That's right. So what we're going to start with tonight, man?
Well, I want to start with Google Sync because this is something that it's just too easy to do and too easy to just not do. So what the first thing I want to say is that it's normal now, and this is something we referenced Mozy earlier, right? Them taking away unlimited access. Well, part of their research that they use to really decide what the new features were going to be, what the new plans were going to be, is that multiple computers is the norm now. Right.
That's right.
It's very, very common. It is the majority for someone to access more than 2 computers each day.
Right.
For myself, I access at least 3 computers each day, depending on what I'm doing and depending on
personal or personal and work.
No, there's 1 work and then two personal.
Okay.
Right. Depending on when we get home, if my wife needs to use the Mac, I'll hop on the little PC or vice versa or whatever it is. Right. And on those 3 computers, you can have Google Chrome, and this sync feature will sync basically everything. You can sync bookmarks, applications you've downloaded to. We talked about the Chrome Web Store last time. You can sync extensions, passwords, themes, all of that stuff, and it's just too easy to do, and it really makes everything so much simpler. And the goal of it, obviously, is to have the same web experience on each computer, right? So every time you bring up Chrome, you know exactly where this bookmark is, or exactly where you go to, to your bank's website. It's in the same place every time, and you don't have to worry about trying to figure that out or remembering or adding the bookmark to your other computer.
That's like totally huge.
Yeah.
I have several computers myself. We have 5 or 6 of them at the house. I have one at work, and I hate logging in. First off, I don't like to use a computer that I don't know is secure, but also I don't like to log into someone else's profile with my passwords and all that stuff. And we need to do a segment pretty soon on how to set up a profile, like how to do a profile in Mac, how to do a profile in Windows, maybe Windows XP, Windows 7, and Mac. Because I like to have my own profile set up on my work computer, which is it's a shared computer that people in the office use. So I have a separate profile in there with a password. Have a separate profile on my Mac. Like if my kids want to use my MacBook, I have a profile set up for them. So I like to have a separate profile on all my computers, and Google Chrome really is great for that because, like you said, I can have my passwords, my themes, all that stuff can be synced across all of those different places with a couple other tools like LastPass and Xmarks. Those are the tools that I use with that to sync. But we did have a question come in. This is from Amber. She said that she was a huge AOL user back in the day, like 1996-ish. She said you really haven't heard about them since then. What do you think sunk their ship? Me personally, I don't know what you think, but I know me personally, I think it was a horrible, horrible customer service. If you called and canceled by the end of a 45-minute phone call, you usually would be re-signed up for like 6 free months of AOL. And I remember more than once hanging up the phone thinking, why did I do that? Even if it was free forever, I would hate it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think bad customer service did them in. Like you don't treat your customers like that. You know, if your customers want to quit, let them quit. You know, bless them and let them quit. I think the other thing was their reluctance to really really jump on the internet bandwagon.
I think that's,
you know, offering their own content.
Right.
So, is that what you think too?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I think it's a mistake that a lot of big companies make, especially if they were one of the first companies in a particular market, is they really just have a habit of getting stale and being afraid to change because this one model, whatever it is, worked for so long and they just don't want to change. And the companies that succeed are the companies that change with whatever the market is changing with. And I think that's what happened with AOL. I think now AOL is actually making some cool moves with some things they're doing with their email.
Really?
Yeah, I actually hopped on an email beta program they had that kind of integrated email, chat,
I don't know what I think about that,
text
man.
messaging. Well, I'm always in for trying new technology, right? I mean, that's just who I am. It's built in me, and if I can get a little piece of something and it helps somebody out later on, then I'm all about that. But it's almost like we talked about MySpace a couple of weeks ago, man. And it's too little, too late. You got too big. You stuck with the same model, and now. Now nobody needs you anymore because they moved on to something else. That's
they all got viruses.
Right.
I got sick of having to fix their computers all the time.
Right.
Well, sweet. So let's go back to the old Google Chrome. So tell us about the syncing on that, man. So we're gonna do a little demo here. I'm gonna cue it up over here on the TV while you walk them through it.
Yeah. So what you guys are gonna see here is we've set up Google Chrome and we're gonna sign in. I've already signed into this computer, and what we're gonna do is gonna activate sync. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try sync extensions. So if you look at the top right, now for now you see kind of Google Reader, there's YouTube, and then there's Evernote. Those are some extensions you can have there on your thing. Now Randy's going to go ahead and click on your tools, right? You're going to go down to Options, and then you're going to click on Personal Stuff, and that's already clicked on here. And you're going to click on Customize because we've activated sync, but we haven't sunk anything yet, right? We haven't synced anything. So now we're going to choose what to sync, and the first thing we're going to do is let's just do extensions.
Okay.
So we'll click on extensions, hit OK, and keep your eye on that on the top right. So it's syncing up. Hit OK, and as you can see up there, it's starting to fill it up.
It's adding all kinds of cool stuff.
Right. So these are things I've already added on all of my Chrome browsers. And what I love is as Randy's doing that on that computer, that now that Google News is showing up on the computer I have here in front of me. So it syncs instantaneously. So as soon as you make a change on one of your Google browsers, it's going to make a change on everything else. So now I have to go in and delete Google News Reader.
And I just got an email message pop up over here as soon as we synced also.
So I mean, you gotta love that. You gotta love how instant this is.
Right.
And you wait for nothing. You wait for nothing, and everything that you need in the world, all your dreams come true.
Today I was working at my house. I was working and I had a computer that I was on I had, I believe my MacBook was in the other room or somewhere like that, and then I had my phone, which I had the internet browser on both the computers on Chrome and my phone, and all of a sudden, every time I got an email, I'd hear a ding.
Yeah.
And then in the other room, and then about the same time my phone, and then the computer right next to me, so it'd be like ding, ding, ding.
It's like Wolf from The Office. You know how Ryan created that Wolf thing where it sends you a fax, an email, text
that's
message,
right.
phone call.
Wolf.
Yeah.
Wow.
All at the same time.
So that's cool. So so basically, these are all free. These extensions, right?
Most of them are free.
Okay.
Right. There's some that you can pay for. They have apps and stuff that you can pay for. A lot of them are free, and really just depends on what you need. You know, what's going to make your web experience the best that it can be, and you use those.
Cool. So we synced up over here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of these extensions?
Sure. Some of them I have up there. I have obviously Evernote, and Evernote's just kind of a way to journal things in your life, things you got going on, ways to stay organized.
Yeah, we did a segment on that a few weeks ago. You can go look that up.
There's one called it's called Toodle Chrome, and really what that is my to-do list.
Sweet.
That I have synced up that I can look at it wherever it is. The other one is Google Voice, and with that extension, I can just click on it and see text messages that have come in through with my Google Voice number. If you have activated multiple login on Google, which is another thing we talked about in a previous show, is you can access different Google numbers depending on what your settings are. So it's all within the same extension. You can do different Google numbers.
Yeah, I've noticed on that particular extension, whichever Google Voice that you logged into last, or the one that you have up on the front, is the one that it's going to notify you about. I don't know if that's on purpose or not.
Yes.
Because like right now on my other computer, I have Gmail logged in on 2 different tabs, and it's going to notify me on the Google Voice of the tab that I have open. So on this Toodle Chrome, does that sync? Like it's okay. So it's among browsers. You have it on your iPhone also.
Yes.
Cool.
Actually, I have the app To Do on TODO on the iPhone, and the To Do app actually syncs with Toodle-Do, which is the web app where all the to dos are.
That's a lot
hosted.
of to dos. Yeah.
It's a big to do, if you will.
Wow.
So one of the other extensions we have on there is the Tweeter extension, and that's really what that extension does is whatever web page you're on, it posts that to your Tweeter account.
Oh, sweet.
The next one there is Xmarks, and what you can use Xmarks for is to share, keep on a server all your bookmarks.
Right.
So whatever browser you're on, anywhere in the world, at anyone's house, no matter what, you can access your same bookmarks and stay organized with that.
Yeah, and we'll probably do a separate segment on that at some point. But just for the sake of simplicity tonight, Dominic and I both prefer Xmarks for syncing. Well, I know I do. I prefer Xmarks for syncing bookmarks. And I don't use it for passwords as much anymore, but it will do passwords, and it'll also do open tabs.
It'll do history as well.
Wow. But it's not just on the Google Chrome browser. So, like, let's say maybe at work you're only allowed to use Internet Explorer 6, which I don't know if I'd put anything on that, but you could put Xmarks on that, and then you could take your password, your bookmarks from Chrome and sync them over to your Internet Explorer at work or whatever. So,
I want to mention something real quick on that, Randy. Is if you are at work and you have Internet Explorer 6 and you're scared to put any of your saved passwords or bookmarks on there, what you can do is go to my.xmarks.com,
right,
and you can access your bookmarks from within a web page. So you're never actually placing them on the computer,
right?
But you can right click and open in a new tab, and you can if you're in Internet Explorer 6, there are no tabs, but you can open your bookmarks from a web page, so you're never actually placing it on the browser.
Right. And you could also set up a profile at my.foxmarks.com, like a work profile, where you only had like a subset of your bookmarks that maybe you would use at work or something like that.
Right.
I moved away from that because it got too confusing, but for a while I tried to do that, and I just said, too much trouble. I like things simple. Yeah. If it's not simple, I don't like to do it. Okay, so there's Xmarks, and then you got a big, what is that, face page?
Yeah, face page. That's
What
yeah,
does that do?
for Facebook? It's this small thing it's taking out. What is it? Violence at
Yes.
at
Send us an email at violence@techmix.nbc.gmail.com.
wow .biz. And then another one there is just kind of bookmarks. That's just my list of bookmarks. I try to save as much space as I can when it comes to the browser vertically.
Yeah.
And with that there, I don't have to have the bookmarks bar.
Now,
I
is this
can just-
brand new?
Yes.
Is that what you? Because you told me you were looking for something like that.
Yeah, I just found that today.
Like today.
Yeah.
Wow. And so it takes what was normally on your toolbar. I like that.
Yeah.
And it will sync it right there. Now I wonder if you use X marks, if it will still sync among all the other browsers.
All that extension does is it literally grabs the bookmarks you already have. So it doesn't really replace them. It just kind of references the bookmarks you have. So as Xmarks syncs and saves all your bookmarks there, really it's just referencing that same list.
Wow,
so you
what-
don't lose anything.
Dude, that alone is worth the price of tonight's show. That one little extension right there.
Wow.
I can't wait to get home and install it. I might even install it as soon as the show is over. So neat bookmarks, cool. And then you've got a few more. I guess it couldn't find room for it, stuck down here. You've got Bitly. What's that?
Bitly is just a URL shortener. So if you want to send somebody a link, and the link is, it's a link to a video on a news website. If you New York Times or CNN, the links are huge. You can take that link, put it in Bitly, and Bitly spits out a short little link that fits into a tweeter, or you can email someone, and it's not crazy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The other one on there is Google Mail Checker, and really that just alerts you every time you get a new email to your Gmail account. And the reason I have that on there is I'm a big fan of not having a bunch of tabs open if I don't need to.
Right.
Right. So if I can view the email from this little checker here. I can delete it. I can reply to it. I can forward it. I can do all that just from this little extension and not have to ever open up my Gmail, the entire web page. Like, that's a big deal. But I wouldn't have to do that. And the last one there is the checker for Google Calendar.
Google Calendar.
Which is huge, huge, huge. And I'm going to tell you why. Because what you can do is if you hover over that, it's going to give you the...
I'm going to pull it over here where we can see it. Oh, and it says you're not logged
it's
on
not
for the
logged
specific
in.
calendar.
Oh, so anyway, so what it does is it'll tell you the amount of time until your next appointment. So that's always like a quick reference. And if you hover over it, it'll give you kind of a 2 or 3 day view of your appointments and events for the next 2 or 3 days, which is huge just for like a quick reference without having to open up your calendar or get your phone out if you don't want to do that. And it's just real quick. It's real easy. And I love things on the internet that do exactly what I need them to do.
Right. Yeah, that could almost be your tech tip for tonight. That one there. That's a pretty sweet little,
Boom,
little
roasted.
deal. In fact, I'll just throw in mine. My tech tip for tonight is a little extension on here called Snooze Your Email.
It's a real snooze fest.
Yeah, and it just came out that I know of. I just heard about it. That's right. It's a real snooze fest. Snore. Okay, so basically what you do is when you're in your Gmail with this little Snooze Your Email extension, you're in Gmail. You have an email. You know how sometimes you like read an email, then you keep it unread maybe, or maybe you put a label on it to remind yourself or whatever. Well, what you do with this is you just select Snooze Your Email. And it's anywhere from like 5 minutes to a week, and then what it does, it doesn't hide it, but what it does is it comes back in 5 minutes to a week, and it just reminds you. It does a little pop up, just like you got a brand new email. It does a little pop up, so it's like a little reminder. I'm going to email the guy like tonight or tomorrow and ask him to put a little feature in there to throw it down in a folder so you can get it out because it stays in the inbox. He does have a way where you can keep it unread, but I'd love to see him throw it down in a folder. So that's called Snooze Your Email. Wow. Okay, so we just sunk up. Is that a word?
No.
Sunk up? What's a technical word for that?
Synced.
We synced up?
Synced.
That didn't sound right, but it's probably right, though. Okay, so we just synced up our extensions, and then we have some other options here. So we have extensions, preferences, themes, apps, autofill, and bookmarks.
It looks like I misspoke. I think earlier I said you could sync passwords, and that's incorrect. So
Well, that would be through like X marks or something.
right,
like
but
that, right?
I think I said that for Google Sync.
Well,
So
it's something they should have. You know, they really should. So, do we want to demo one of these?
Sure. Yeah.
How about apps? Do you have any apps?
I have a few.
Okay, so click on apps and say OK. And then hopefully this browser didn't already have a bunch of weird apps on here, right?
Then you open up a new tab,
Go to
and
a
it's
new
going to show
tab.
your apps. Boom, roasted.
Oh, sweet.
Evernote, Netflix, Google Docs, Pandora, Google Calendar, and Gmail.
Right. And, you know, an app, a web app for people that want to get married.
Yeah.
You know, a web app, a lot of these are just kind of basically websites with their interface cleaned up a little bit to run really nice on here. Like Google Docs, that's already a website, Netflix, Evernote. But some of them are literally programs, you know, like Aviary, I believe, is the one that lets you do pictures or websites or something like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so you have apps synced up, and what else? We can sync up
The theme.
autofill. So you're when you're typing in a form and you want to finish the rest of the word, usually with email address and stuff. Now we kind of both stay away from bookmarks.
Yes.
We use X marks for that. Preferences and themes.
Yeah, so doing this themes it's gonna change it immediately because I have an Ubuntu theme on there, so that changed that up pretty quick.
Wow. So tell us what's behind the Ubuntu theme. You a big fan of Ubuntu?
Yes.
Awesome. Me too. I love that. We should do a show on that, but it'll have to be like a after the show
Yeah,
show.
that's an Oprah after the show
Yeah.
kind of show.
Basically, if you've stayed to the end of this, you are a techno freak. That's what we should do. We should have a section at the end where we just totally geek out for the people that hung all the way to the end. So that's cool, man. So you can sync your preferences. You can sync your theme. And so if I change the theme here, it would change it also on your computer over there.
On all the Chrome browsers I have.
Wow. So
Right.
like if I was at your house or something like that and you were at work, I could put like Hello Kitty or something like that on here and it would show up at your work browser.
If that's the kind of humor that really kind of gets you going.
It does at 10:45 at night. That's what
yeah,
gets
you
me
can
going.
definitely do that.
Well, cool, man. Awesome. So what other features are there on this thing? That
I
we
mean,
need
I was telling you earlier, and I was being half serious, is I just think Chrome is really becoming one of the most powerful tools on the internet. There's so much stuff, and I'm finding new thing, and I consider myself a power user when it comes to technology. And I'm finding new stuff every day that is just
Right.
making things so much easier. And it's almost like we had a conversation one time where you're not born, but when you start a new technology, let's say for instance the iPhone, right? When you start with an iPhone and you've never seen anything Android, you're used to getting things done how they get done on the iPhone.
Right.
Right? And so I don't know that I can't do X or Y or
Right,
Z
right.
because I never had to worry about that.
Right.
And I think that's how it is for a lot of people with, or all people when it comes to browsers. They don't really think they need anything more than Internet Explorer 6, Internet Explorer 7. They don't think they need anything more than that. They can get to the websites.
Right.
But what you realize when you start messing around with Firefox and Chrome is that your web experience can be so much better. It can be so much faster. You can get things done faster. You can access things quicker. And that's really what you want to do, is just spend less time getting to what you need and just more time spending on exactly what you need.
Don't we kind of have a little video to go along with that?
Yeah,
Since you
well,
mentioned that?
well, there's a video that we wanted to show last time that we had some minor technical difficulties. I'm having
Minor
some,
as in didn't work.
right. So what we did is we got it queued up again, and I never use the word guarantee when it comes to live television. So I'm going to say that this is going to work.
All right, here we go. Hey, why don't you
All on the bow line, the bow line, all.
Man, I love the examples that they use. There was a commercial, and probably you guys have seen it if you watch television at all. There's a Chrome commercial, and it's actually for Google Search. And they have, I think I mentioned this commercial before. Things come up that says Humpty and then blank, and it has tic tac blank, and your mind fills it in, right? And their whole point is you can search as fast as you can think, right? And Google searches, they've made huge strides here recently.
Right.
I just can't get enough of talking about Google. I love them. But with Google search now, if you go to google.com and you start typing in whatever it is, Google will start feeding you what it thinks you're typing. And I'm amazed. I'm amazed that these algorithms that they use for these searches, because it's not far from what I'm really looking for. And I think it's a matter of time, matter of weeks, that Google becomes self-aware and takes over the world.
Well, just today they accused Bing of copying their search results. So they're saying Google is now saying that Bing is going to Google for their search results and then serving them up.
That's awesome. We should do that. We should do Tech Mixture search, and we'll just feed you Google.
See what happens.
That's amazing.
See what happens.
That's amazing.
So, a couple other quick things about the Chrome browser. One of the things that it has is it has a thing. Well, Dominic mentioned up at the top having extensions to do the notifier. Well, now they have desktop notifications baked into it. So the newest version of Chrome will actually, without that extension, will actually show you desktop notifications. Now, I've not tested it to know, do you have to have Chrome running, or does it run as a separate thing all the time? We will find out, and we will report back to you. Because if it ran all the time, that'd be kind of cool, having some kind of a notification browser that pops up. Another thing we like about Chrome, it's based on a browser called Chromium, which is open source, and we love open source around here, so we like that. And there's another really cool feature we got to tell you guys about. It's called Cloud Print, and if you'll just after you install Chrome, if you will just do a search it's called Cloud Print. Just do a search from Chrome, and it'll pop up. And basically, what you do is you go to your computer at home where your printer is, or it could be a printer at work or whatever. And you download Google Chrome, and then you go into the options, which I don't know if this is the latest version or not, but if you go to under the hood and scroll down, and this is not the latest version, so it doesn't have it, but if you go to under the hood and scroll down to the latest version down at the bottom, it'll have a place where it says Enable Google Cloud Print. And so then once you enable it, this is really cool. Like this week, I was on Google Docs on my iPhone, in the Safari browser, and I went in, I was looking at something, and I wanted to print it. I was at my house, but I wanted to print it on my printer, and so I just pulled down. There's now a little pull-down menu once you have it installed on your smartphones, whether that's an Android or an iPhone, and I believe on the BlackBerry, there's a little pull-down menu that says Print. And it pops up another little page, and it says, now making print job, now printing, blah, blah, blah. I mean, from your browsers. Now, how amazing is that? Is that like sweet?
Man, I can't. I'm super impressed with what Google is doing. They're on a roll, and I don't know when they can be stopped. So yeah, that cloud print's amazing, especially when that was a big feature that Apple was going to put out in iPhone 4. Right, you're going to have AirPrint, and we talked about that a little bit on the show. How AirPrint out of the box it only worked on a few select HP printers, and now with Google Cloud Print. It doesn't matter what kind of printer you have, what kind of computer you have. If you're running Google Chrome, the latest version, you can print to your networked printer at home.
Right.
And that's huge. That's huge.
And for the geeky people that have hung in to the end of the show, there's probably some very similar technology because Mac is based on Unix, which is open source, and that's the way Unix drivers work.
Right.
The driver interfaces with the computer. And the computer, has one interface. The computer connects to that, and it's very similar. And so I can imagine that they took, it's called CUPS. I can imagine they took that and somehow, that way, if your computer can talk to the printer, well then anybody in the world should be able to print to the printer. And I don't know, I'm just guessing. So that's kind of the little extra geek sec, for the people that hung in till the end. Probably, that would be my guess. I doubt they wrote it from scratch, but maybe they did. I don't know.
It's like a really good friend of yours who always knows where the best restaurants are. And since you know them, then all the people that you know that don't know this friend, they can come to you and get the information for the best restaurants.
That's a great example.
Right, so this friend of yours who knows all the restaurants, they're the printer, right? Wow. And you're the computer, if you will. And all these other people, they're using you to get the best restaurants.
Who's the president in that example?
Obama still. Because you voted him in again, America. Boom.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of botched that whole thing, man. But anyway, thanks for...
No, you didn't at all. I mean, it was a good explanation. But for those of us that have no idea what Unix means or have any idea what a driver is and what it does, I just wanted to really... I wasn't making fun at all. That's just really kind of a simple example of all that technology talk and what the driver... That's exactly what it does.
That's a great way to put it.
It really helps them connect and understand make them talk to each other.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, so there's a lot of commonality right now between Apple and Google, even though they don't want to admit it, because the new Google Chrome OS is based on Linux, which is a copy basically of Unix, and Mac is based on Unix. So there's probably all kinds of programs underneath the skin there that are exactly the same,
right?
That are going on,
right?
Well, anyway, guys, we really appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. We've had a lot of fun. You can text us or call during the week, especially if you need some rescuing, or you can send us tweets. We would love to hear from you this week. We would love to know what's going on and be involved, wouldn't we, man? Wouldn't that be awesome?
I would love to know what's going on in your life on a technology level and a personal level, because you guys are our friends. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. We love talking to you guys each week, and we love hearing from you guys. Thanks, and we hope you guys have a great week.
All right, God bless.
See you next time.
See you later.
But mostly stay classy.